what happened last night? If you're like me, God, I hope you're not, probably stayed up past your bedtime to wait for the results of the Iowa caucus. Exciting! Most of us observant and very sane people stayed up on Twitter and angry tweeted until we fell asleep on our phones wearing yesterday's clothes. My eye makeup people know what I'm talking about. We're just humble Twitter servants doing God's work, I know. But the whole point of the Iowa caucus is to show up at the same time, yell your candidate's name the loudest, and bully or persuade non-viables to root for your candidate in the second vote. So here are some quick highlights of yesterday's fuckery known as the Iowa caucus. First of all, mainstream media is useless, but perhaps the most useless of all is the New York Times. As unofficial results started to trickle in, the New York Times had this up. These numbers have since been removed, leading people to believe that Pete Buttigieg was the frontrunner, and his campaign would have you believe that. So much so that he gave a victory speech.
By all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
While Mayor Pete did campaign pretty heavily in Iowa, it's probably just also a coincidence that the Des Moines Register's poll, the gold standard, the creme de la creme of polls, was scrapped. Supposedly because one person complained that Pete's name was excluded, and when the poll taker corrected themselves and included his name, they pronounced it wrong. Whatever. So naturally, the entire poll was scrapped for the first time in 70 years. But the real shocker, and probably the reason why they didn't want this poll to get out, was because of how significantly Joe Biden just absolutely tanked, which was more evident with the more information we got last night. So if you're like me and you probably gave yourself an ulcer waiting for the result, you're still probably feeling unsatisfied and confused. We all are, especially those tasked with using the new DNC's caucus reporting app. Leading me to my second point, the crappening. Just kidding, nobody else is saying that. Day of the caucus, leaders are barely able to use this thing. All I could find in terms of a development timeline was this payment dated November 15th, 2019. Cue every software developer rolling in their futon. Developing an app in 3 months? App development is more time consuming than browsing Reddit, especially if you're a developer doing both, which they are. And $60,000 in development is not enough if you actually want your app to work. Because the reason app development is expensive as hell is not the initial development, but all of the quality assurance testing and bug fixes that come after. No app is ever 100% ready at launch. Last night was both the greatest and worst example of that. Multiple leaders were unable to get this mystery app to work on their phone. That's right, they had to use their own personal phone. What could go wrong? Luckily, there were paper count sheets to use as a backup, and they leaked their pins. Great. If this incompetence wasn't enough, some caucus coordinators didn't even know their own rules.
The good news is that no one knew the rules and everybody left. And then I was the only one who was able to explain what happens next, including the person coordinating the event. And now I am a delegate. While Bernie didn't have viability, the people there, because I knew what I was doing, voted me to be the delegate, even though Bernie didn't win. And now I can go and vote for whomever I want because the people there sent me to go.
Excellent, man.
So
Wow.
Could be a good or a bad thing. A bit weird how American democracy works like that, but not weirder than coin flips. Instead of considering who got the largest amount of voters, we saw freaking coin flips in 2020, which apparently is the rule.
Tails.
There you go.
You get the delegate.
The rule is stupid. And if you think that's where the stupidity ends, then honestly, just stop watching here because you're still gonna end up leaving unsatisfied, so. The stupidity continues, with the Iowa Democratic Party deciding not to release any data. That's super normal. Just kidding, this is unheard of. We had precinct leaders desperately trying to call in the results of their caucus.
I have been on hold for over an hour with the Iowa Democratic Party. They tried to, I think, promote an app to report the results. The app, by all accounts, just doesn't work. So we've been recommended to call into the hotline, and the hotline has not been responsive.
Democratic Party, can I help you?
This is a real coincidence, Wolf. I just got off hold just now, so I've got to get off the phone to report the results.
all right, go ahead, report your result. Can we listen in as you report them, Sean?
Yep.
All right,
Cool.
let's listen.
All right. Okay. Hi. Hello? They hung up on me.
Fortunately, the Sanders campaign had its own leaders record the caucus results and release this data. While it's only representative of 40% of the precincts, It's something. Always, always, always record your caucus if the rules allow. Long story short, guess you gotta go to Twitter for real-time information. But keep in mind, most people who do turn out to vote don't give a fuck about Twitter. I'm gonna head out.